I guess I get to go first. Coach, how are you on this Wednesday evening?
Very good.
Doing okay?
Yep. Oh, sure.
All right. Well, let's take us through Saturday night's loss to Missouri. And having coached for as many years as you have, you've been through all kinds of games, great wins and very disappointing losses. What is your best way in dealing with your team to deal with a loss that is as disappointing, certainly, as that one was Saturday night in Missouri?
Well, it's a tough way to lose a game. I mean, but, at the same time, it's one game. We had 12 guaranteed opportunities. We have 9 guaranteed opportunities left. So, you've got to regroup and refocus and hopefully not make the same mistakes you made from a coaching standpoint to a playing standpoint. And you don't duplicate those things, and you got to move forward. I got up Sunday and the sun was out, and it was out the rest of this week. So, it's disappointing to lose, but at the same time, you got to move forward.
You talk about, though, there are certain games maybe perhaps during the course of a season that you feel like are a little bit bigger than others, just in terms of you can win them. I think it gets the kids excited, the confidence of your program. I think the community, the people in San Diego, the Aztec fans, I think everybody felt so close to getting this game. So I just wonder if after the game, is it harder for your players to overcome? Despite what you've gone through in the past and knowing, hey, it's just one game, again, are you concerned about picking your guys back up at all?
No, you can't be. And part of the mistake people make is in talking to our seniors on Sunday, they said, well, it the game. Well, that's a bunch of stuff because honestly, every game is important, and every game you got to prepare for. It's no different than playing Nickel State. And one of the comments was, well, that would put us on the map. I said, no, consistency puts you on the map. 2 years from now, James Madison beating Virginia Tech, no one but James Madison folks are going to remember that. Appalachian State beating Michigan a couple years ago. That's one football game, and you can never let a team either beat you twice. You've got enough problems handling your next opponent, and if you sit back and reflect on it too much, and we have a consistency in what we do as a program, consistency on what we do on Sunday, win or lose, it doesn't change. How we practice, how we lift, how we meet with our guys, how we grade the film, all those things don't change, and they don't change for a reason. It's something that, I think our kids have done a great job with this week, and, I think that's a maturing process, and usually when teams say, well, that game or the game, it's from programs that have struggled, and that's what they're playing for instead of the big picture is you're playing for the Mountain West Championship. That's what you play for. And, so I think the media makes more out of it, and probably some San Diego State people who have, seen things not go that way. But in all honesty, you got to move on.
One thing you did say after the game, at least I believe you did, and I'm paraphrasing maybe just a little bit, but you had said after the game that you weren't sure your kids really believed they could win that game. Maybe not even so going into that game. Maybe they weren't 100% sure in believing they could win, and that was something that disappointed you as much as anything else.
Well, and listen, I'm a little different than a lot of people, most people, and the expectations, and I said that, and part of that I was kind of ticked off, and part of that was at the same time, I think every guy who's in that locker room and every guy who's on that trip, they've got to believe that, and you have to play that way, and you play that way by taking advantage of the opportunities that we had out there during that 60 minutes, and we didn't do that. And part of that is making plays and being confident enough to go put yourself out there. It's easy to sit back and criticize, but you're not in the fire. You got to put yourself in the fire. if you want to be successful. And so, you know, and I told the kids that, you know, that I said that, and I probably was a little mad, and also at the same time, I think we got to self-evaluate to make sure we all felt that way.
Missouri won at 27-24. It was a phenomenally exciting game. There's no question about that. And, Coach, again, out of every game, even when you win, I know you go back to the drawing board and you say, okay, here's some things we could have done better. When you lose a game, as heartbreaking as that game was, I imagine you also can go back to the drawing board and see a lot of great things that happened in that game. And I think a lot of Aztec fans come away from that game disappointed, heartbroken, etc.,
sure,
but also feeling like, dang, we really are getting a whole lot better. I mean, this football team, you guys had a great chance to win that game. You went toe-to-toe with Missouri. I mean, the yardage was even. You had more turnovers. You had more time of possession. This wasn't a game that you guys were, like, lucky trying to steal at the end. This was a game you were toe-to-toe and had every chance to win, and I got to believe that's got to give your kids and the coaches some confidence going forward.
Well, you know, we got a chance to be a good football team. You know, we got to stay healthy to some degree, and I think everybody's in that same place with health and all that. But, you know, I like how our kids responded. I like how they act. You know, I like how they travel and how business-like they are. And, you know, there's a heck of a lot of things I like about, our football team. And, you know, in that game we were 5 plays or less defensively 8 different times. You know, we talk about 3 and 8 outs a lot, but, you know, the defense after the first drive, you know, I think what happens a little bit in that first series when you're playing that wide open attack, because you can't simulate it as much as you'd like to in practice, it's like playing option football. You know, when we get around to playing Air Force, and even this team this week, Utah State, because there's a lot of option in their package, it takes a little time for your timing because it's much quicker. And we missed some tackles in the first quarter that, you know, during the week, heck, we were tackling the crap out of them, you know. But it's just one of those things that I think we caught up to the speed of the game, and we tackled better, and we did a whole lot more things defensively better, and then running the football for 250 yards, you know, and I know you'll talk more about that, but, you know, and our offensive line did a nice job, and, you know, the one defensive end for them was the freshman of the year in the league and was a tremendous pass rusher, and I thought our guys handled it well.
All right, so a lot of good stuff to go forward on, obviously, from that loss, even at Missouri. Ronnie Hillman's a spectacular performance. Coach, I don't know, did you go back and look at the film for the rest of us? Because, first of all, the 75-yard touchdown run was just a burst, man. That was really something to see. The 93-yard touchdown run, I saw it, and I still don't know how it happened. He got into the middle of a pile at the 10-yard line, and then he vanished.
Right.
And then he reappeared like 15 yards downfield running away from everybody.
Right.
How did he do that?
Well, you know, Ronnie's not a real big guy, and that was kind of a small hole, but he did a good job, and then Trask kind of pointed him in the right direction, and, you know, Ronnie's got good speed, you know, and the funny thing is I'm watching Ronnie run down the field, and I'm down at the other end of the bench staying away from the offense, and he's looking up at the video screen to see how close the guys were behind him. And I asked him afterwards, I said, Ronnie, are you watching the video screen while you're running? He said, yeah. He said, I was getting tired. He said, I want to know where those guys were. So, you know, he's got some, obviously, ability. He's got some speed. He's got a nice gear. I think with the way Devon and Walter and him are all complimenting each other in the offense, I think that's in our favor right now. I really, you know, Brandon Sullivan is playing really, really good football, you know, and here's a guy who's run the ball a lot, would love to run the ball a lot, getting minimal carries, but on the power play, he's blocking, and in protections, he's blocking, and he's doing a nice job in the screen game, you know, with some of the things that Coach Borges has in our package. So, you know, all those guys are doing a good job.
All right, Utah State is the opponent Saturday night at Qualcomm Stadium. Of course, the fireworks after the game, but we should have some pretty good fireworks in this game, Coach. Just in general, looking at Utah State, This is a team that I think, at least caught my attention when they go to Norman, Oklahoma, season opener, lose by just 7. And that was a 7-point game all the way. It wasn't like they just scored a couple of late TDs. They played with Oklahoma all the way. Last week, they're tied with Fresno State going to the fourth quarter. They got a quarterback who's thrown for over 300 yards in a game this year and then run for over 100 yards in another game. So Utah State looks like they're going to bring a pretty good football team in here Saturday night. And I know you guys have some pretty good weapons. So we might have more fireworks during the game than after.
Yeah, I'd like it to be a 3-2 game, to be honest with you.
You're no fun, though.
No, I'm not. But their quarterback, Burrell, is a tremendous football player, and he's really grown. Coach Anderson's done a great job. His staff is a phenomenal staff, and he's a tremendous head coach. And they've done a great job in how they teach the game. You watch the film, and you see the effort that their kids give on every play. Burrell is a guy who's very dangerous with his feet, but he also is one of those guys who he gets hot throwing the football, and they beat Oklahoma on some long balls a couple different times, and so they know how to score points. They run a great offense for what their personnel is, and then defensively they fight like heck and play with a lot of heart and a lot of toughness.
All right, that's the matchup coming up this Saturday night, San Diego State and Utah State. When we come back, the Aztec Football Coaches Show. We'll open up the phones, 858-569-TALK. We'll start, you guys got some questions out here in our live audience at the Claim Jumper in Grossmont Center for the coach of the San Diego State Aztecs, Mr. Brady Hoke. 2-1 San Diego State coming home this weekend. We'll be back to talk more with Coach Hoke on the Aztec Coaches Show. Utah State Saturday night. A couple of quick items with the coach, and then we're going to pass the mic around for some questions from our live audience. First of all, injury front, Austin Amulo, who did not play Saturday night at Missouri. Surgery, was it today, Coach?
Yes.
Probably lost for the season.
Yep.
It's never fun. I mean, you never like to see that happen to any of your kids.
Right.
But Gavin Escobar, the freshman, who you kind of told me, you gave me a little nudge a couple of weeks ago and said, look out for this kid, 6'5", tight end. He's given you some pretty good plays so far. You got DJ Shields. You're not empty at the tight end position.
No, I mean, we've got a little depth there, but, you hate to lose Austin, and you hate any injury for that kid, and he's a tremendous young man. And one of the, I guess, saving graces is he has a fifth year that he can come back for, and he's planning on doing that. And, in fact, I called the hospital on the way here, and he's still in surgery, so it was going to be a long one. So, but, he'll be as good as new and maybe better.
I was talking to Ryan Lindley on Tuesday about the game Saturday night, and Ryan Lindley, who's the kind of kid I think that we love because he's always trying to get better. He's never satisfied.
Right.
He really seemed disappointed in his performance Saturday night, and I don't know, that didn't stick out, at least in my mind. I mean, it wasn't a 400-yard passing game for Ryan, but he felt like he really missed some plays in that game Saturday night, and kind of talking about him, trying to get him a little bit back on the beam right now.
Sure. Well, and, there's two coaches in there that one of them's been there before, and that's Brian, and so there's not a better guy to have coaching your quarterbacks and from the mental aspect. And you're right, Chris. I mean, no one works harder at their position and knowing the offense and take so much pride in it. And, he had a couple throws that didn't go the way he'd like them to, but at the same time, there were some things he did awfully well, and so we'll, keep praising those things we do well and correct the ones we don't do as well.
Defensively, really the lineup has been very, much the same. I mean, you're mixing a lot of different players in. My guy, Darrell Lewis, again, comes up with an interception for you late in the game. Leon McFadden gets a big one for you. How's Andrew Preston doing now at the Aztec position after 3-4 games?
Right.
And how are you feeling about your D-line and your linebackers? Because to me, overall, that defense is just getting better and better. And just, like you said, man, once you figured out the first drive of Missouri, shut them down pretty damn well for an entire game, and that's not easy to do.
Well,